Hello, entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs, and just people who are trying to do better with their money. When we were growing up, we didn't sit at the table and talk grown folks' business. In other words, we didn't talk about money. We knew not to ask how much our parents made, and we knew not to ask for things if we weren't sure they could afford them. And we knew what to do, when to say things, and when not to. Now, things have changed, and that's not all bad. Now, I'm not saying what they did before was bad because it was according and appropriate for the times. But now, if you want to leave your children and you want to make sure that they are ahead of the times and you want them to have, the most important thing we can leave them is a mindset. You can leave them money, but if you leave them money without the mindset, they will be broke and they will be wondering what happened. We want to pass on the knowledge. And now that we understand better and we know how to do better, we want to make sure that we leave them better. So now, I may not talk about it at the table. They may not hear every conversation, but I have intentional conversations of what I call boot camp, where we talk about credit and we talk about money management. I've even gone as far as to make sure that I've introduced credit cards to both of my children. They've got to get used to them, and yes, they've got to fail and they've got to be able to succeed, but at least they're under my care and it's manageable and I'm able to help them before they walk out and they have to file bankruptcy or find out on their own. You can't talk about legacy and leaving your children better if you do not start with the mindset. And I'm not talking about just saying, hey, do you know how much and how hard it is to earn? That's part one. And that's the one that everybody gets to. Every person learns how hard it is to make money, how hard it is to work a 40-hour week and to deal with people that you do not like and people who do not like you and do not tolerate you. Do not celebrate you, but barely tolerate you, and you've got to learn all of those lessons. It's bad enough that our children have to learn that, and by our children, I mean people who look like me and you. They have to learn on a whole different level, and trust me, the seminars, the concept is coming where I will talk about those unwritten corporate rules and different things that we need to know. But right now, we're talking money. So it's bad enough that we have to expose them and they have to learn how hard it is to make the money. The worst thing that you can do is to make money and not be able to manage it, because anybody can make it. Not everybody can manage it. And if I'm being honest, the real difference between people who have and who have not is the way they manage. It's not how much they make. I promise you it's not. I've seen it all. I've seen people who make less than I could even think about living on, and yet they live a better life, or a better life than I could imagine them living on that level. And it's because they learn how to manage what they have. When you manage money, it will always come to you. Money is a magnet and it is attracted to itself. When you learn how to hold on to it, you'd be surprised how many things you're able to do with a little. And then let's not forget, if you're a believer, there's tithing. That's a whole nother thing. I have another YouTube channel where I talk about it. You need to go visit it. But back to money management. When it comes to money management, you have to become disciplined within yourself. You've got to learn things, and I don't mean just things that you research, but it's more about yourself. Everything that relates to money happens on a pattern. When you hear the economists talk about a recession or they talk about a fall that's coming, they're not talking because they have a crystal ball. They're not saying it because they're sitting around next to people or in a conspiracy theory that we like to think. It's easy and better for us to think that there's forces outside that we don't know and there's a secret society than it is for us to just really follow history. History repeats itself in every form, every shape, form, and fashion. Let's start with fashion. The fashion trend now is the patchwork denim, the patchwork clothes, the two-tone clothes, whether it be the dark brown, the light brown, the wide leg pants that they call them, and all of that. All of those items that they talk about in fashion now, or that you see in fashion now, I should say, are all results in same fashion as the 70s. When you look at the the gender fluid and the way people are saying, hey, I just love, and I'm kind of fluid. It doesn't matter who I'm intimate with or who I have encounters with. That those talks and those things, they're not new. Those are all things that were done in the 70s. When you look at the influx of drugs and the moxie and everything that's connected to being intimate and being in the clubs, that's all remnants of the 70s. So it is repeating itself. Just like fashion repeats itself and all of that, so does money and money patterns. Money patterns repeat themselves all the time in America. So that's why the economists are able to tell you when things are coming. They study the pattern. Imagine how much further you would be if you knew your money pattern. So take inventory. We're only in the first quarter of 2024. And you really should be looking at what you did in January, what you did in February, what you did in March, and what you're getting ready to do. But the best way to look at that is to compare each month of this year to each month of last year and the year before. When you're able to look at where and how you spend your money, when you have the most money, when you have the least amount, when you see it leaving the most, once you identify your patterns, you're able to change them, improve them, eliminate them, but you can't do it until you know. Everything in life follows a pattern. And when you know your pattern, you're able to change your pattern. I'm not telling you to know it so you can be depressed and say, well, this is who I am. Because as long as you know it, you confront it, you're able to change and alter it. That's the greatest thing about being a human. We have instincts, we have a mindset, and we have the ability to change. It's your girl, the Queen Bee, because I told you, I want to see you win. Let's talk more money. We've got to talk about it. We've got to understand it so we can make it, and most of all, manage it so we can retain it. Bye-bye.